A young woman has died in Myanmar after she was shot by police. It's the first death among opponents of the military coup since they began protesting 2 weeks ago. Live to Mya Thwate in a moment, but first, a look at what's happened today.
A fresh source of anger in Myanmar as it grieves the death of a 20-year-old protester. Mya Thwate Thwate Khaing was shot in the head by police during anti-coup demonstrations last week. She had been on life support for 10 days. Thousands continue to take to the streets across the country. This includes the LGBTQ community, teachers, and monks, all voicing their resistance against the military coup and the ousting of elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Police in Yangon also sealed off the city's main protest site. But this did not stop hundreds of people from gathering there. At times, things turned tense. Beyond Myanmar's borders, international pressure is also growing on the nation's military generals. The UK and Canada have announced fresh sanctions against military officials for human rights violations by freezing their assets and imposing travel bans.
This is unacceptable behaviour, that the coup must be resisted, that we must find a way back to democracy, and that those who perpetrate violations of human rights abuses, as we've seen in Myanmar, must be held to account.
The United States also announced sanctions last week.
Mya Thwate joins us live now for more on this story. Could the death of this young woman, this young protester, encourage more protests?
Well, Don, the quick answer is no, because in the last 2 weeks, we already see what the protesters want, and it's very uniform. They want their state councillor to be freed, they want their president to be freed, they want democracy, they don't want military rule. But it's the death of Mya Thwate Thwate Khaing is going to add another element, another dimension to this protest movement. Immediately after news of her death surfaced, there were makeshift tribute sites for her where people poured their sympathy and laid flowers. I'm also hearing from one contact that there could be another protest movement on Saturday held in her honor. But like I said, the protest movement has many moving parts. We're also starting to now see more and more people going to the streets to paint the streets with pro-democracy messages. We're also seeing graffiti, the silhouette of Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi being sprayed on buildings, as well as street lamps and traffic lights. But that's one side of the story on the protesters' front. On the Myanmar Army front, earlier this week, the Army spokesperson had also said that one of its policemen had died from his wounds after clashing with protesters.
Well, Myanmar's Army chief, meantime, has stressed that the country must maintain close ties with its neighbours, countries like Singapore, Malaysia, the rest. Is this even possible?
Well, Don, it takes two hands to clap, but in the context of Myanmar wanting to keep in touch and good relations and to have good relations with these neighbours, Myanmar will have to make it work, because the Army chief in outline in that Foreign Affairs meeting has singled out 5 countries: India, Bangladesh, China, Thailand and Laos. And these are countries that Myanmar shares borders with. So from a geopolitical standpoint, it is in Myanmar's interest to have close ties with them. China and India are supplying Myanmar with vaccines. From an economic standpoint, don't forget there's also ongoing border trade with these countries. Now, interestingly, the Army chief had also said that he would like foreign investments to flow into the country from these neighboring countries. So it's yet another sign that the Army chief is well aware that his country is being shunned further and further away by countries in the West. We've heard earlier there are new sanctions by UK and Canada on top of US. And so it would be in Myanmar's interest to make it work, to go back to its own backyard, to have better ties with its neighbours.
Thwate, thank you very much for that update. Mya Thwate there.